We here at RSports are Virtual Major League Baseball. Our product provides an advanced and authentic experience in the hybrid category of fantasy and virtual sports. By owning and operating an RSports franchise, you compete for championships and money in leagues that mirror the MLB in every way. For sports fans who have dreamed of owning a sports franchise and handing out business cards that say Team Owner, RSports is making that dream a reality. Find them on Twitter at RSports Baseball and on Facebook as RSports Baseball. You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Well, sorry. Welcome to the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 198. I am Edward Green, disturbed as always, and I unfortunately am not joined by my call in crime, Wes Bradshaw. Wes Bradshaw will be joining us later on in the program from Parts Unknown as he discusses the latest happenings in the WWE, because there's nothing really to come from Anfield Corner this week because Liverpool didn't play since their Champions League win from last week. So, with that going on, that's going to come later on, though, in the program, and he will be back live next week. Still plenty to talk about today. We will get to a quick Premier League preview for this upcoming week. We will also have a Champions League review. The other first leg matches took place this week, so we'll get to those. Also do an FA Cup review from the weekend with some shock upsets in that one. Very quick news and note, just one story. Well, I guess two. I didn't actually put the second one on the docket, but we'll really quickly go through that. That'll be quick news and notes, though, as well as a watch for. And so Raw, as I mentioned, will be from Wes Bradshaw, from Parts Unknown. As always, the Foreign Affair Podcast is brought to you by NGSC Sports. At NGSCsports.com, we never stop. As well as I'm next. Oh, no, I'm next going to talk about RSports Baseball. Of course. Wow. That's muscle memory. RSports Baseball, fantasy baseball just got real. Don't just play fantasy sports. Own a team and gain equity. You can find them on Twitter at RSports Baseball. Oh, almost big oopsie there. That's, whew. Anyway, let's get right into the action. Oh boy, this podcast is so bad already. So of course, no Premier League action this past weekend because of the FA Cup. So a real quick look ahead to this weekend's schedule as the Premier League is back. At 7:30 a.m. on Saturday, you will have Leicester City versus Stoke. At 10 a.m., you'll have the choice of 5 matchups, including Liverpool versus West Ham, West Brom versus Huddersfield, Burnley Southampton, Brighton and Hove versus Swansea, and Bournemouth versus Newcastle. And then at 12:30 p.m., it will be Watford versus Everton. Decently big match between two sort of mid-table clubs there in the 12:30 slot. On Sunday, just one game at 9:05. It is Manchester United versus Chelsea, match of the week, hands down. This is a big one for them coming up here. This is obviously huge. Chelsea had been falling a little bit in the Premier League table. United also kind of losing grasp maybe on that second place. This is going to go a long way into determining, do we have a 3 places for 4 teams or 2 places for 3 teams. And that's really where we are right now, because right now Manchester United is still very much in it. But if they can separate themselves from Chelsea a little bit more, that kind of, again, pushes them still up in second place, and then gives them a little bit of padding to where they might not fall completely out of a Champions League spot. Looking at the table real quick, right now they do sit 3 points ahead of Chelsea. If Chelsea do get a win on the road at Old Trafford, Then the floodgates might open because Liverpool could potentially win and get to 57, and Tottenham could potentially win. They're going to be playing on Monday against Crystal Palace at 3 o'clock. If they win, they'd be at 55, and then you'd have Liverpool 57, United and Chelsea 56, Tottenham 55, and then it's game on from there. Just bonks, as the kids would say, bonks. So that is your schedule again. Crystal Palace, Tottenham, 3 p.m. on Monday Night Football on NBC Sports. Also, you might notice I didn't mention Arsenal Manchester City. They were supposed to play this weekend. They will be playing instead next Thursday, March 1st, on 2:45 p.m. in the afternoon on Thursday. Now, why aren't they playing this week? Well, I will tell you why. It's because they're also playing in the League Cup final this week. That kind of snuck up on everybody. They will be playing. I actually have to bring this up here. There it is, the EFL Cup. So yes, the final will be taking place this Sunday at Wembley Stadium. Arsenal versus Manchester City. Arsenal is designated as the home team in this one. So very interesting matchup there, and then they're going to play again like 4 days later. And Arsenal will still be the home team. So obviously, though, this one, very big. This one is for a trophy. And as we'll get to later with City, a huge opportunity for them. Obviously, they almost have one in the bank already with the Premier League. Getting this second one will be huge for reasons we'll talk about later. Arsenal, also obviously, this is big for them. They're no longer in the FA Cup. They're in Europa, so there's that. But they're also not going to win the league. They're also slipping in that race for the top 4. So this is basically one of the only things right now that they really are looking forward to kind of hang their hats on come season's end. So for Arsenal here, they absolutely, this is almost a must win. Because if they do not, now granted, I mean, winning this doesn't really do much. It is a trophy. But if you can't make top 4, it's this, and then if you don't get this, it's you just put all your bag. I think if they lose here, I think they just put all their bags in the Europa basket. The eggs, in the Europa basket, because that's going to be rough. And as we mentioned, they're already kind of far behind. As we go back to the table, no matter what, if Chelsea does not lose, but every team around them, if Chelsea loses, but every team around them wins, including Tottenham, Liverpool, and United, Arsenal will be going into their makeup match against City on next Thursday, 8 points out of 4th place with game in hand. So at best, they'd be 5 behind Chelsea if they can beat City. If Chelsea wins, and then also Liverpool and Tottenham wins, then they would be 10 back of Tottenham, who would be in 4th place at that point. With game in hand. So then the best they could do is 7 points back with 10 matches to play. And that is kind of a lot. I'm sorry. Actually, wait a minute. No. Tottenham would be in 5th. Wow. I was wrong there. So they actually be 11 out of 4th place because either United or Chelsea, depending on goal differential, how that would work out. Probably Chelsea would actually be in 4th place. Tottenham would still be in 5th. So yeah, at that point, you just start thinking, if you're Arsenal, just go for the Europa League, man. Like, I know you don't want to just completely give up on the league, but if it comes to it, I that's probably going to be the way they have to go. And I know that sucks, but that's how United got in the Champions League this year. Liverpool almost did it. We've talked about it on this program before. The Europa League sucks, but it is a way into the Champions League. And if that way happens, if Liverpool, Chelsea, and Tottenham all win on the weekend, then Arsenal is going into their makeup match against City 11 points out. The best they could do then is 8. If they beat City, if they draw, they're 10 back with 10 to play. If they lose, they're 11 back with 10 to play. That would be very, very, very tough to make up. So for Arsenal, wins are this League Cup, to kind of keep the fan base satiated for a while, is almost must win For City, it might also kind of be a little bit of a must-win. So very interesting there. Very, very interesting matchup this coming weekend. And with that, we're going to actually take now a look at the Champions League. Results from this week of play. 4 more matches took place. That included Sevilla 0, Manchester United 0. David De Gea saves the day again for United. How would this team be if they didn't have arguably the best goalkeeper in the world? Not very good, I'll tell you that right now. Sevilla with 17 shots to United's 5, despite having not that much more possession, 54 to 46% for Sevilla. But so many more chances. Going off the dangerous attack stat from the UEFA.com website, Sevilla mounted 54 dangerous attacks to United's 29. Also of note in the match, Paul Pogba coming on in the 17th minute. Now, we talked a lot, and we're very, very hip to things here, about maybe some discord between Jose Mourinho and Paul Pogba, and so he did not start the match in the Champions League against Sevilla on the road. It's bizarre. But he did come in the 17th minute. So yay for that. It does seem like he may have come off for injury. We'll see. It's very, very interesting that would happen like that. And of course, it was a start also for one of the United youngsters coming into the midfield instead of Paul Pogba. McTominay coming in and doing just yeoman's effort, really, to come in against a great team like Sevilla and not concede a goal. Granted, a lot of that was due to David De Gea, but it is one of those things. United under Mourinho have just Jose Mourinho teams in general now have only scored 13 goals in their last 20 matches in UEFA competition against Spanish sides. That's an in-depth stat for you. So very, very interesting game. But United does get to go back home 0-0. So unfortunately, they do not get an away goal, which means if the game ends in a couple weeks 1-1, Sevilla goes through. And, just last week we were thinking, we're going to get 4 English teams in the next round. Got to temper that a little bit as United is unable to score in Sevilla. So, again, next leg, March 13th, to see who advances to the round of 8. Elsewhere, Shakhtar Donetsk with a come-from-behind victory at home against Roma. A first goal in the 41st minute from Roma's Cengiz Ünder. Sure. Was answered just 7 minutes after the half restart from Shakhtar's Facundo Ferreira. And then 15 minutes later, everyone's favorite Brazilian scorer, Fred, gotta love Fred, gets Shakhtar the win with the goal. So Shakhtar will be taking a 2-1 lead to Italy. Again, Roma does get that very important away goal. So we'll have to see if Shakhtar can keep it up. Again, they just need to win now on aggregate and to be able to advance. So big comeback there for Shakhtar. I know a lot of people thought Roma were going to easily advance, but Shakhtar doing some good work there. Chelsea stays strong against Barcelona and draws 1-1. Willian with the goal there, 62nd minute. Also had a few more chances that he could have had more. But Lionel Messi scores his first career goal against Chelsea. The drought is over. Yay! In the 75th minute, as Barcelona gets, again, that very important away goal, as they'll be taking it back to the Camp Nou in a couple weeks' time. Chelsea, very good effort on the day, but unfortunately just some bad defending in a bad moment allowed Lionel Messi to do his thing and get Barcelona back. Now Barcelona can go into their match. Again, a 0-0 draw sees them through. Don't think it'll be 0-0 though. Chelsea has to come out and play. So that'll be very interesting how they're able to do that on the road. Great effort from Chelsea, especially not starting any of their strikers and putting Eden Hazard up. False 9! Oh, we love it. 10 is a false 9. So, but yeah, that's got to be very interesting if you're Alvaro Morata and you're not starting a Champions League home match against Barcelona. You know, that's it's an interesting decision. Interesting, coming on only in the 83rd minute and then 3 minutes later picking up a card. But hey, it's Alvaro Morata. I'm sure it's fine. It's fine. So that is the Chelsea-Barcelona match. And then the final one, Blowout City. Bayern whoops Besiktas 5-0. 2 goals from Mueller and Lewandowski, as well as one for Kingsley Coman. Makes it 5-0 for Bayern. That's it. Besiktas didn't get an away goal, so they now have to beat Bayern like 6-0 in Istanbul. That night in Istanbul, maybe it'll happen. I doubt it. So Bayern, along with, you would have to think Liverpool and Man City, already 1 foot into the next round. I almost want to say Real Madrid, but they're playing PSG, so we'll see about that. So yeah, they have off next week, and then in a week after that, we'll start again. So March 6th, you'll have PSG hosting Real Madrid, as well as Liverpool hosting Porto, and then on March 7th, you'll get Man City hosting Basel, and Tottenham hosting Juventus. So that is your Champions League wrap up. And then finally, as far as game talk, we have the FA Cup to get through from this past weekend. Leicester gets by Sheffield United 1-0. Chelsea blows by Hull 4-0. Sheffield Wednesday draws Swansea, so they'll be having a replay on February 27th. West Brom loses to Southampton 2-1. Brighton and Hove beats Coventry, one of the lowest remaining team in the field. Coventry City out of League 2. Brighton and Hove beats them 3-1. Manchester United goes on the road to beat Huddersfield 2-0. Rockdale gets 2 late goals in each half to draw Tottenham 2-2. Lucas Moura, with his first Tottenham Hotspur goal in that one, actually brought Tottenham level at 1-1 at the time. Actually thought they had won it, with Harry Kane picking up a penalty in the final few minutes of the second half. But Rockdale pegs them back, so there will be a replay at Wembley on February 28th. And then finally, Will Grigg is on fire. I know that's not the song. I don't care. Wigan beats Manchester City 1-0. Will Grigg falling down as he scores in the 79th minute. Wigan does it again, their 3rd straight win over Manchester City in this competition. Because, okay, I guess that makes sense. So Wigan advances. And that's why I said, Man City, we Arlo White on Twitter, always maybe a little semi-tongue-in-cheekly, referencing the City quadruple that could happen. Obviously, again, Premier League, almost not in doubt at all. They have the League Cup final coming up this weekend. It looked like, that they saw the draw, because the draw had already been made before they played on Monday. Get past League One Wigan, and then you're going to get Southampton at home. And then you're in the semifinals. Like, the road kind of opened up before Manchester City to at least be able to do a domestic treble. The treble is out the window now. And so now, I posed this question to Arlo White, on Twitter. If you're a City fan, and let's say the worst happens, let's say you lose to Arsenal in the League Cup final, and let's say you lose out like in the round of 8 or even the semifinals of the Champions League. Is that a disappointing season for City? Like, you take on one trophy, the Premier League. Say you make the semifinals of the Champions League and you lose to like Barcelona or something. And you don't win the League Cup. You lose in the League Cup final and you don't make it to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Is that a disappointing season for City? going into the season, I would think not. At this point, I kind of think it is. If you can make you have the giant lead in the league, you're in a cup final. You have what looks like going to this match again against Wigan, a pretty easy road to at least the semis of another cup, and you're already 1 foot into the round of 8 in the Champions League. Things are looking really good, and now it's like, oh well, 1 cup is out the door. Now we have to beat Arsenal, which, Arsenal loves to get up for their cup finals. That's all they have. So, if you lose that, I'm not saying they're going to, all of a sudden then not win the league. That's not what's happening. And Arlo White said, yeah, it might be considered disappointment if at the end of this season, they only come out with the Premier League trophy, which, again, is kind of bonkers to think about. A team going into the season saying, you're going to make a cup final, you're going to make a run to the Champions League semifinal, and you're going to win your league. Doesn't everybody just, unless you're Barcelona or Real Madrid, don't you just say, okay, sure, done, take it. I'll take it right now. At this point, I don't know if you are Diffuse City. It's tough, very tough. Of course, if they win on Sunday, then it doesn't matter. Then they'll have the trophy locked up, trophy in the bank. And that's, just go for the Champions League. So we'll see. Again, that's why Sunday's game is actually so big for City. Because if they don't win that trophy, again, not saying they're not going to win the league. They're obviously going to win the league. But, interesting. It would be very interesting to see how, they're probably going to set a record for points this season. They're going to beat Chelsea's record from last season. How will history look on this City team if the rest of that happens, though? You think history would probably look fondly on this team, but if they only win the league, it's interesting. It's very interesting to think about. So we do, again, have the quarterfinal matchups set. Interestingly enough, the 2 matchups that are replays are actually the 2 that will be drawn against each other. So the winner of Sheffield Wednesday versus Swansea will host the winner of Rockdale versus Tottenham. And so now all of a sudden, Tottenham starting to think maybe they have an easy run in. We'll see. Still a long ways to go for them. United draw Brighton and Hove. Leicester draws Chelsea at home, and then Wigan now gets Southampton at home, as we mentioned. At this point, if you're United, you've got to look at this. You say, okay, we get by Brighton and Hove at home. Unless we get, arguably, unless we draw either Chelsea or Tottenham, arguably, we're in the final. At that point, and unless Chelsea or Tottenham is your semifinal opponent, book your tickets for the final. You're done. So, I would probably call just because of that almost. I might call United the favorites right now in this tournament. Just because Chelsea going to Leicester could be kind of a tricky matchup in a matchup where Leicester, at this point in the season, Leicester doesn't really have anything else to play for. Arguably, they unless Arsenal just explodes in the league, they're probably not finishing top 6. So they could finish top 7, but they probably won't finish top 6. They're not in European competition. Unless Leicester probably is going to start making a pretty strong push in the FA Cup. You could argue the same for Brighton and Hove. But A, Brighton and Hove has to go to Old Trafford, and B, I think Leicester is just a little better than Brighton and Hove. I also think Chelsea is I think the gap between Leicester and Chelsea is closer than the gap between United and Brighton and Hove. Again, also with it being Leicester gets to play at home at the KP, and Brighton and Hove again has to travel. So that's my quick thoughts on that. And that is going to do it for our matchup analysis. One story as we hit the news and notes. Take notes, Jordan Morris. This is what you're supposed to do. Josh Sargent, the Ginger Wonder Kid, the new hope for U.S. Soccer has officially signed a contract with Werder Bremen over in the Bundesliga. The kid had been trained with the under 23 side for the United States, but was not allowed to actually sign his contract until his 18th birthday. And hey, signed his 18th birthday. Now he's good, which is just, it's awesome. He had actually been training there since January, but he couldn't be on the roster because of a FIFA rule for non-European players to be added until they're 18. So now he joins Christian Pulisic in the Bundesliga as another young American kid. Pulisic going through some growing pains right now at Dortmund. Josh Sargent, though, was one of those great players at the World Cup for the under. For the youth squad from the United States that went there. Scored 3 times in 5 games. And then he also scored 4 times in 5 games at the Under-20 World Cup. So this is a kid who seems to be maybe going places. And again, he's challenging himself internationally. Will it work out? Who knows? It might. It might not. I hope it does. Best of luck to you, Josh Sargent. Werder Bremen, obviously not that great, kind of whatever. But I mean, if he's able to perform, then you have to think bigger call-ups are necessary. Maybe if Pulisic leaves Dortmund, then Sargent slots right in there and heads that way, and then bigger and better. So big congratulations to Josh Sargent for joining the Bundesliga side, Werder Bremen. So that's going to do it for news and notes. Watch for. What's the watch for this week? Oh boy, I have a show I want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about it because Wes isn't live this week. So we're going to hold on to it. We're going to hold on to the little nugget. We're going to talk about it with him next week. This will be a fun show. So instead, the Brooklyn Nine-Nines, they keep right on going. We're in season 3 now. Good times ahoy. Still a really good show. Very good. It's a really good show. Michael Schur, I can't stress this enough. The guy is really good at making shows. Just fantastic writer and producer of television. Well done again, Michael Schur. Again, standing invitation to the Foreign Affair podcast whenever you want to come. So that's going to do it for my stuff. Which now leads us into Giga, the Giga Rockcast, coming to us from Wes Bradshaw in parts unknown. He's going to bring it for you now with a super epic edition of So Raw.
Hello, friends, countrymen, non-countrymen, anyone who listens to the podcast. It's your co-hostess with the mostest. I'm not a hostess, I'm a dude. But this is Wes Bradshaw. I'm sure Ed has hyped and pumped up this week's So Raw. And now, guess what? I ended up picking up a shift and worked all week at night, so I have not seen a lick of wrestling. So I'm not going to be able to give you much of a So Raw today. I do know it was a go-home show for Monday Night Raw, and they went home. And I still plan to watch it before watching the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view this weekend. But I'm not going to lie to you guys and tell you I know what happened. I haven't even had a chance to read a review. I've literally worked all night, gone home and slept, rinse, repeat. It's been a busy week here in the good old county of Nash. Oh, me. Real quick, we do know our 7 in the Elimination Chamber. Braun Strowman, The Miz, John Cena, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Elias. I knew I should have done this. Oh, and Roman Reigns. So, yeah, I should have done that looking. Winner will take on Brock Lesnar at... Oh, we have blinking lights. Interesting. Winner will take on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Man, I wonder who it's going to be. Roman. Yeah. Sadly, it'll probably happen. So, hey, you guys are going to get a little taste of my morning life here in just a moment, so just hang on. For all you folks who are not from the South, you'll learn what we do first thing in the morning. I'm telling you this, it's about 10 minutes till 7 in the a.m. So 06:50, and a bit of work since 7 o'clock last night. I ate some breakfast. So in just a second I would get some breakfast. But anyway, so that's kind of the very truncated So Raw. I'm sorry I didn't give you guys anything new this week. I suck, I know. Next week I'll be back. I'll have you results from Chamber Elimination. And also, we'll get you ready for Fastlane coming up for SmackDown. So quick timeout while I order breakfast. You guys can listen. It's going to be fun. I don't know what she said. No, ma'am, I'd like 2 sausage biscuits and a medium sweet tea.
I have 2 sausage biscuits and a medium sweet tea, and that's a complete order?
That's it.
All right, you said it's going to be 214 at the one-up, please.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
214. That's right. Ed Green, you'll get a kick of this. 50-cent biscuits at Hardee's for the next week because they opened a new Hardee's up near Nash Central. So we get 50-cent biscuits at any Hardee's in the area this week. So that's pretty freaking kick-ass, right? Of course it is. Of course it is. It's badass. It's awesome. Well, since I don't have you guys much wrestling this week, I'm going to take my quick look at the Champions League. Of course, I don't have anything really to report from Liverpool. After the match last week, they got on a plane. They went to Marbella, which is on the southern coast of Spain, for some warm weather training. So nothing really new coming from the Reds. Of course, you get your daily rumor mill reports because, nowadays with the way the net is, with Twitter, with social media, the rumor mill never, ever ends. That's why the transfer windows become so damn annoying. You never know what's going to happen. And for months, or the transfer windows, you think about it, the transfer window literally is open 3 months out of 12, and the other 9 months we just go ballistic over what might happen in the transfer window. So I'm about to pay for my food in a second, so you guys just hang with me. But anyway, just taking a look back at the Champions League from this week. Of course, we had 2 English clubs. Ed already talked about, I'm sure. Chelsea getting the 1-1 draw, and really a really good match with Barcelona. And just like we thought, Barcelona dominated possession. Chelsea hitting them on the counter, and Willian looked like the most dangerous guy on the field. Hit the bar twice, still finally getting that goal. Looked like Chelsea were going to squeak one out, but one bad moment is all it took. Christensen went across with that pass. Hold on one second. Thank you. I'm doing well. Hope you are. See how polite I am. Very polite person. It's my real life politeness. It's not just for you guys on the pod either. Get my card back and we'll be on our way. This is riveting, I know, for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too. And there we go. Breakfast. Crap, I meant to get a third one to give my wife one. She doesn't have to know I have breakfast this morning. Unless she listens to the pod and finds out. We know better than that. But Christensen with a bad pass across, really across the field. Azpilicueta, unable to get a boot on it, push it away. Andres Iniesta, still the old Jedi Master Iniesta, gets on it. Perfectly weighted ball right into the path of Messi. And Messi scores his long-awaited, much-celebrated first-ever goal against Chelsea. And Barcelona come out there with a 1-1 draw, and now, poor Chelsea. Yeah, if Chelsea comes out there 1-0, goes home, Barcelona does not have an away goal, then Chelsea in much better position. But now Barcelona with the away goal, Chelsea's going to have to go and win the match. Chelsea's in a tough spot. And the way the way Conte sets them up to play, I'm not optimistic that they're going to go to Barcelona and turn that over. So looks like we might be losing the English team there. But still a really good game. So up through Tuesday, that had been 4 Premier League teams who had played. You had 2 really entertaining draws. Of course, Tottenham and Juventus, and then this Chelsea-Barcelona. You had 2 blowouts where the attacks were on full display. You had Liverpool, the 5-0 over Porto. You had City getting the 4-0 over Basel. So, man, obviously the Premier League's going to save the best for last for that good old United Sevilla match. And United produced a 0-0 because, why the United not? Probably would still put money on United to go through, but they made it more difficult on themselves now, not getting the away goal. They do leave themselves a little vulnerable coming back home to a Sevilla team who United should be better than Sevilla. So we'll see what they can do. Obviously, the bigger story is Pogba not starting the match. We talked about it last week, and as typical, after we talk about it, then the world explodes about it. We talk about those 9 months of looking at transfer rumors. Are we looking at one there? Jesus, I mean, it's everywhere now. Pogba wants to force a move away. It might be the perfect time for Pogba to look a move because Real Madrid are rumored to be in the mood to shake up their entire first team after the season they've had. So there's a chance we can see Pogba on the move. I do believe there are a very limited number of teams in the world that would make sense for Pogba to leave United to go to. Obviously, Real would be one of those teams. Barcelona would be one of those teams. Really, after that, I don't know who would be another team. I guess you could say Bayern Munich, but Munich aren't putting that kind of money in Pogba. I don't think anybody down in Italy, there's no need for him to go back to Italy after leaving Juventus. So I think it's Spain or bust for him, but we talked about last week, it could come down to either Pogba or Mourinho's on the road out. Right now, it looks like the support is more in the Mourinho camp. So I'm not going to say who's right or wrong there because, it's not like Pogba's setting the world on fire. Then again, Mourinho's Mourinho. It's going to make it tough to get some big-time players if that's the way he wants to go, the way he manages. But, hey, can I say the man's won everything at this point? So, but United a 0-0 draw. They've got to go. They go back home to Old Trafford now. Sevilla can win it with an away goal. So we'll see. But as of right now, it still looks like a good chance to get 4 teams in the quarterfinal for the English clubs. It'd be really cool if none of them were matched up with each other and see what happened. It'd be really cool to see a Final Four of all English clubs. So see what happens there. It'd be pretty insane. They go to Kiev for the final, of course. Liverpool's back in action this week since this is Anfield quarter. Taking on West Ham United. David Moyes comes to Anfield to take his customary ass whooping. So I'm looking forward to that on Saturday. Myself and the baby girl, the princess of the Foreign Affair podcast, we're going to sit down and watch that. She doesn't know it yet. She's going to think we're sitting down to watch YouTube videos. And we're going to watch West Ham and Liverpool. We're going to get after it. So, guys, if you were tuned in for so wrong, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It's just not the week for all West to pull it off. But, did want to circle the Champions League with you guys. Second round of games coming up in a few weeks. So we'll definitely have that coming for you here. So check us out here on the Foreign Affair podcast. And I know Iggy's going to say it, but love you guys. Thank you for everything. And for me, it's good night. I'm saying good night to good night, Chelsea, because I think you guys have really screwed yourselves over. Peace out.
And thank you so much for that, Wes. Big congratulations, and I cannot wait to have you back live next week when we hit episode 199 of the Foreign Affair podcast. We're almost at 200. It's amazing. Can't believe we're actually still doing this. But we are. We're going big. We're going big. Episode 199 will be next week. This was episode 198 of the Foreign Affair podcast, brought to you one more time by NGSC Sports and NGSCSports.com. We never stop, as well as RSports Baseball. You can find them online and on Twitter. You can also find us on Twitter as a collective. We are at AFA Pod. Wes is at Wes Bradshaw 21, and I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, the All New Sports Show. New episodes still being put on YouTube. Thankfully, we haven't been demonetized yet. You can also email us, allnewsportshow @gmail.com. Big thanks to also the rest of our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app. Is that what I say? TuneIn Radio app? Yes. God, I should write this down or something. Google Play Music Store and the iTunes Music Store. So once again, we will be back next week for episode 199. We will have a 199. We will have a Premier League weekend to recap, of course. We will have FA Cup replays to do. So yeah, that's right. Tottenham plays at Crystal Palace on Monday, turns around on Wednesday, plays an FA Cup match. It's the glory of the FA Cup. So much sense. So we'll be talking about that. We'll also be getting into some more thoughts from Wes Bradshaw from the news and notes. Oh, real quick. The second story I meant to talk about. Roberto Firmino from Liverpool, clear of all racism charges against Mason Holgate from their dust-up they had back when Liverpool played Everton about a month and a half or so ago. Those charges have been erased. I believe that was from the FA Cup match they played. Yes, the FA Cup match back in early January. So, again, Firmino, cleared of all charges. So that is going to do it for episode 198 of the Foreign Affair podcast. For McCall and Crime, Wes Bradshaw, I am Edward Green. Thank you so much for listening in. We will catch you guys next week. Until then, stay safe and enjoy the football.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter @NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Attention fantasy baseball fans. Come to the next level and experience virtual Major League Baseball ownership. RSports provides an advanced and authentic experience combining fantasy and virtual sport. By owning and operating an RSports franchise, you compete for championships and cash in leagues that mirror the MLB in every way. For sports fans who have dreamed of owning a sports franchise, log on to rsportsbaseball.com or find them on Facebook as RSports Baseball or on Twitter @RSports Baseball and make that dream a reality. 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 And make that